And we're live again. Hi guys, welcome back to Measurable. This is episode 2, entitled The Standard. So, with that, I'd like to let you know that this episode is going to be split into 2 episodes. The first episode will be talking about the history of modeling, how the standard, which I'll be talking about a lot in this episode, was put into place. And the next episode will be about the future of modeling, what brands are going to do to change this standard, and what agencies are doing as well. So with that, I'd like to highly recommend you listening to the first 2 episodes and catch up until now if you haven't already. And I'd also like to welcome you to Podcast Companions on immeasurables.com. I think I've mentioned it before, but Podcast Companions are just little tidbits of information that I may have forgotten to speak of in each episode, or just notes I'd like to add as well to the episode. So they're on immeasurables.com. They are live after each episode is aired. So if you like this kind of content, I highly recommend you like to subscribe or follow on any of the podcast platforms. I'll be updating you on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok as well about the podcast platforms that I will be on. So with that, let's get started. I'm assuming you're already aware, even if you aren't into fashion as much as I am, that on the runways, ads, music videos, all the models look the same. Whether it's the 5'9" thin female that's super curvy yet skinny, and has this luscious skin that's always clear, and the male supermodel that's like 6 feet tall, toned yet skinny, and just super gorgeous. The sun's always in his eyes and in his hair. You know what I'm talking about, the perfume ads that you always see on TV. Yeah. It's been the staple for far too long, but why, when, and how did it become this way? That's what I'll be talking to you about. So, companies and agencies have been mass producing these ideals and making them standard for models too immeasurably high, so that is unobtainable to reach by any of this demographic. For instance, the demographic for Vogue magazine, for instance, is teens. And when you see these supermodels on the ocean with the male models, for instance, in the perfume ad like I was talking about, they get kind of confused as to, why do I not look like that? Why do they look like that, and why don't I? You know? As a result, they suffer, the models themselves as well, suffer from mental illness, sticking themselves to strict diets, and starving themselves as well. The models themselves find it really hard to stick to this disgusting standard. It's using the same mold for this model that makes this such a toxic industry. And yeah, I said toxic. Modeling has changed within each generation. Trends over time have directly impacted what is beautiful. For instance, in the 1900s, you had the Gibson girls. Everyone wanted to look like the Gibson girls and the flappers. And then in the 1950s, you had the Marilyn Monroe bombshell beauty that everyone wanted to look like, which transitioned to the generation of the Renaissance models in the 1980s and the 1990s, where the Linda Evangelistas, Naomi Campbells, Tyra Bankses, Cindy Crawford, stuff like that arose into fame. The stigma of the 5'9" supermodel went into place and stuck until now. The claim is that the clothes look and fit better on the models, which is surprising because although the female height in the United States, the average female height is 5'4", and the average male height is 5'9", the expectation that the fashion industry creates is that beauty comes with being super tall, super thin, and clear-skinned and toned as well. It's disappointing to see these standards take into place and take a toll on their demographic, as I was talking about before. Through social media, this stuff becomes more apparent with Instagram models, and it's more easily accessible to look at these supermodels, and the demographic, as I was saying earlier, suffers as a cause of this. They suffer from depression, mental illness, other mental illness problems. They suffer themselves eating disorders because of these supermodels, and self-image issues as well. We see these effects in our everyday life. With the rise of social media, influencing platforms makes this toxic industry thrive and keep thriving forward. According to an article by Vox, the Victoria's Secret fashion show, arguably one of the most iconic and memorable moments in the fashion industry, was canceled in 2019 so that they can evolve their marketing. Kind of strange when we were asking for plus size, transgender, and petite models that this didn't happen until the brand canceled the fashion show. And now you see the plus size models, the petite models, and the transgender models in the ads in like the stores, you see them posted up on the walls, and in the magazines that you get shipped to my house, I still do as well. So I think it's kind of strange that they did that after all the backlash. But it only had about 3 million viewers in its final year compared to 6 million and 9 million viewers in their years before. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But to those who don't look like runway models, watching the perfect model isn't entertaining anymore. Things are changing. And things are happening sooner than you think. Next episode, I'll be talking about big changes that are happening in the modeling industry for new models like me and you, and the future of this industry as well. So I'd like to thank you for listening to part 1 of The Standard. I want to let you know that you are beautiful. You're unique if anyone hasn't told you, and you don't have to stick to these standards. You're your own person. Until next time. Signing off.